All right. Um, Bear with me a moment here. Let me just get everything up and running. So it might take me just a moment. Um, okay. I think that's going to be enough done off the start here. Just checking the volume. Okay, everything's looking good. So anyway, I'm gonna of course start off this video by giving all praises unto Yahweh and His Son Yahweh Shai. Right, all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, for this truth. Um, and this is not at all going to be a video dedicated to slander or hate, right? Not at all, right? Just to give that disclaimer, off the start. Okay, this video is not dedicated to any type of envy or hate or strife. This is just going to be a friendly conversation, dealing with the scriptures, or as I like to say, the skip cheese. Okay. Um. Anyway, a little backstory behind this show is I was just going around. It might have got click that link if you're available, man. I was just having a conversation with some of the GMS guys. Which again, don't get me wrong, I like GreatMillStone, but there's a point where there's hypocrisy involved, so the hypocrisy has to be addressed. Okay, they were on there saying they have 100% truth, and if you say we got 99% truth, then you got to be some type of like, a troll scoffer demon or something like that to suggest that we are wrong on one thing. It's like, damn. So I asked the question, and I was like, okay, well, let's talk about, because I was watching somebody's video, and they made a statement in the video and said that, and then this is what they will all say, right? If the law of the land goes against the Bible, then we don't have to obey it. That's word by word what the brother said. Okay, if the law of the land goes against the law of God, right? The Bible, which what is the Bible? The Bible is the word of God, right? So the law of the land versus the law of the Bible. If, this is their words, if the law of the land goes against the law of the Bible, well, then we obey the Bible instead of the law of the land. That's what they said. So I was like, okay, I agree with that. But here is the problem. There are multiple laws in the Bible that the law of the land is clearly in violation of. So by logical deduction, how can you sit there and make a statement and say, well, if the law of the land goes against the Bible, well, then we won't obey the law of the land. Okay, there are multiple laws in the text that God gave that the law of the land is clearly in violation of. So why are you guys still going along with the law of the land then? Matter of fact, let me just pull out my Bible here. Reminds me of something. I remember that statement that I made. Okay, let's go to the book of Matthew. There's me while I pull it up here. Okay, doesn't this remind you of something? Look at this, Matthew chapter 15 and verse 8. This people draw nigh unto me with their mouth, and they honor me with their lips, but their heart is far from me. Listen to the next part. But in vain they worship me, teaching for doctrines the commandments of men. In other words, what is a commandment? A commandment is a law. So let's read that again. But in vain do they worship me, teaching for doctrines and the laws of men. And that's what those brothers are on there doing, teaching the laws of men instead of the laws of the Most High. Okay, let me just read Mighty God's comment. He said, I'll join in 30 minutes if you're still alive, getting Chipotle and washing it down with a moon pie. Inside joke. Anyway, going back to what it was saying, man, is to make a statement and to say that we have to obey the laws of the land that do not go against the Bible, right? If the law of the land, say for an example, what if someone declares it's a law that unicorns exist? By logical deduction, you would have to agree, okay, well, then that means that it's true. Because at what point do you say that, no, I'm not going to obey this even though it's the law? Matter of fact, what is a law? How can a man make something right or wrong simply by saying that it's right or wrong? Because that's all law is. All law is a threat of violence from the rich to the poor, saying you obey this or we will hurt you. That is all the law is. Anyone that disagrees will if you're intelligent enough, I dare your ass to step up and to refute such a bold claim. All right, but I will boldly proclaim what I so boldly proclaim. You know why? Because I actually do research into things. All right, I don't just say shit to sound smart. I actually do my due diligence, for lack of better words, when I speak about certain topics of discussion. Okay, so going back to the statement made, which actually I put on the thumbnail of the video, I put the comment that the brother made. Okay, which he brought up an asinine statement because he said, well, what about Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? Were they servants of the Lord? And the answer is yes. But what does that have to what validness does that have? Because if you read the story, and what is that? That's Daniel, the 3rd chapter, right? What happened to them? The king, right, Nebuchadnezzar, told them that you guys have to bow down and worship the golden statue. But they said, you know what, we will not do that. Right, so they went against the law of the land. So actually, that statement backs up my statement. Ironically enough, they went against the law of the land. It's like, okay, so if you want to get technical, what happens if the law of the land says that you have to be a rainbow? Which I got to use that word because you got to watch what you say on here, but you obviously know what that means. Okay, what if they say that everyone has to be a rainbow? So if I don't go along with that, am I going against the ministers of God, as you guys said, right? Because you guys said in GreatMillStone that the minister of God is the government. Now, if that's true, well, here's some hypocrisy though, because it says that he's the minister to you for good. How is this man the minister of good? Then it says, let's even go ahead and get that real quick. Bear with me a moment. Let's even go to Romans the 13th chapter, because everybody quotes that, but nobody knows what the hell it's talking about. Guys will quote things, but then when you ask questions like, what does this mean? What does that mean? It's like, well, I don't ask questions. You know what I'm saying? Let's just read it for face value, then we'll get into the text. Romans 13:1. Let every soul be subject unto the higher powers. For there is no power but of Yahweh. The powers that be are ordained by Yahweh. Whosoever therefore resisteth the powers resisteth the ordinance of Yahweh, and they that resist shall receive to themselves damnation. For rulers are not a terror to good works, but to the evil. Will thou then be not afraid of the power? Do that which is good, and thou shalt have praise of the same. Listen here. For he is the minister of God to thee for good. But if thou do that which is evil, be afraid, for he bears not the sword in vain. For he is the minister of God, a revenger to execute wrath upon him that does evil. Right. Now here's the problem, though. It says that he's the minister of God, right? So how can you, by logical deduction, if you're going to say that the minister of God is a government, right? Any government of the world, whether it be American government, Russian government, Chinese government, right? The government in general. Well, by line of logic, that's the same as saying, all right, which I'm not saying that they're deliberately saying this, but by logical deduction, by logical conclusion, they are saying this, that the minister of God, if it's talking about the governments of the world, well, that what they are saying is that the minister of God is a rainbowed child molester rapist. That's what these guys must be saying. If the governments of the world are God's minister, well, by logical deduction, you are saying that God's minister is a homo, child molester, rapist. That is what you have to say if you are saying that the government is the minister of God. Is that does that even make any logical sense to say that? How the hell does that even make sense? And somebody will hear me say that and say, "Oh, that's not true." Okay, well, how do you refute that? Are you, in other words, are you smart or are you intelligent? Because are you smart or are you intelligent? Just like what's that cat? Just like Brother Polite said, there is a difference between being smart and being intelligent. Being smart is being able to regurgitate whatever you're told, but being intelligent is being able to, on your own, prove your belief of why you believe in what you believe. Right? So, are you smart or are you intelligent? I agree. A lot of you guys are pretty smart, but a lot of you are not very intelligent. All right. And this is clear proof. Now, what is Romans 13 talking about? That's talking about the ministers over Israel, right? The governors over Israel. This can't be talking about the wicked. All right. Now, if that's true, if that is true, it's like, okay, then when they minister Revelation 13:16, I can't read it, because obvious reasons now on this platform, but you know what that means, right? So when they administer that, I can say, oh, well, look, it says here that you have to obey the government. So see that you have to take that. You have to get it. And if you don't, well, oh, well, see, well, then you're in sin then because you're not obeying the ministers of God. And they couldn't really answer that. All they could do is say, well, we don't obey that. And this is Tahar's, not Tahar, this is Gabar's words. He said, well, we won't obey that because that goes against the law of the Bible. It's like, well, wait a second. Wait a second. What about Leviticus 20 and 13? Hey, look, man. You guys in Great Millstone, man, you guys are looking pretty damn shady right now, man. You cats are looking pretty damn bad, right? You guys are looking like a damn fool. Look that word up, right? Looking like you're unlearned, right? Which, again, this is not at all about hate. Not at all. This is simply about, reasoning together to come to a conclusion. And that's all we're trying to do. I'm trying to come to a conclusion on this matter because I disagree with the doctrine. And why do I disagree with the doctrine? Is it because I'm trying to start some type of like hate movement towards GMS? No, of course not. All I disagree with is because the text says differently, right? So I want to reason with them, but when I reach out to try to reason with them, all they'll do is come out and say, "Oh, well, if you disagree with us, then you must be some type of like scoffer demon." You know what I'm saying? You must be some type of damn devil demon to say that we got 99% truth and not 100. I mean, how could someone say something so blasphemous? It's like, okay, all I did was ask a simple question saying, if that's true, well, why can't we address the text? You made a statement, brother. You made a statement. And let's talk about Gabar, which, again, don't get me wrong, because I have much sincere respect towards the elder apostles of Great Millstone, most certainly. So this is not at all, you know, about hate. This is not at all about that. Okay, I'm just gonna go over something he said. Okay, because Gabar said something that is wrong. Okay, so it needs to be addressed according to the scriptures. Okay, because you made a statement which is incorrect. So we need to address the text and deal with it. And this is going back a while because remember we talked about this last year, but I'll go over it again. Not Tahar, I mean Gabar made a statement in one of his videos and said that if the law of the land goes against the Bible, well then we obey the Bible and not the law of the land. That's what he said, right? If the law of the land goes against what the law of God is, then we don't obey the law of the land and we go by the text. It's like, okay. And he tried to apply that to, Revelation 13:16 and said, well, that law goes against the Bible. So when they do that, we don't obey it. It's like, okay, good. But here is the problem. What about this? Look at this. You said, brother, that if the law of the land goes against the law of the Bible, that we don't obey the law of the land. Okay, now listen here. Leviticus chapter 20 and verse 13. If a man also lie with mankind as he lies with a woman, both of them have committed an abomination. They shall surely be put to death. Their blood shall be upon them. It says they shall surely be put to death. The Lord said, thou shalt, as in you must. Okay? That law is an absolute violation of the law of the land. So what about that one then? Why aren't you guys going around enacting that one? Because brother, you said, and before you turn around and say, well, why are you not doing it? No, I asked you the question first, so you're going to answer the question first before you turn around and ask me, and I'll answer that. I'll answer that. Why? Because I know according to the text, all things are lawful, but all things are not expedient. That's why I don't. However, you made a statement and said if the law of the land goes against the Bible, then we obey the Bible and not the law of the land. Okay, here is a law in the text that is clearly against the law of the land. So why are you guys not going by it then? You see, that's what you call hypocrisy. Okay, so hey, look, man, and I'm not trying to put myself on any type of level, but this is truly embarrassing here. Okay, because this one verse, this elementary scripture, clearly gives the brother a spiritual KO, for lack of better words. I mean, that's a knockout right there. This law, the Lord said, "Thou shalt." How do you get around that? You must. It is a commandment. Okay, this is a commandment of the Lord. It's the law of the land. It's clearly against. It's like, okay, so by logical deduction, you said that if the law of the land goes against the Bible, will we obey the Bible and not the law of the land? Okay, here is the law of the land and the law in the Bible that clearly are not one with each other. So by logical deduction, how can you still sit there and make such an illogical statement? That's ridiculous. That would be like a that'd be as retarded as somebody saying, "Well, you see, I'm a preterist, but I still believe at the end times hasn't happened yet." But it's like, wait a second. But the meaning of being a preterist is to believe that all those things took place roughly around 70 AD. Okay, that's what the whole meaning of the word means, right? Is that all these things that Christ spoke about happening, they all happened back then when Christ was on earth. Right? That's what the whole word means. But if somebody was to say, well, yeah, I'm a preterist, but I do believe that all those things have not happened yet, that would be an illogical fallacy. That would be ridiculous. All right. I mean, it's a damn joke. It's really just a damn joke. Okay. And there's another good point, I believe. Let me see. Bear with me a moment. Okay, there it is. I was right. It was in Exodus, the 21st chapter. All right, this is another law that goes against the law of the land. Okay, so you see, these brothers are being, which again, not at all any type of disrespect or hate, but all I'm doing is saying that we got to be, if we're going to make a statement, we have to stay by our statement, right? If I was to make a statement and say that I'm going to give somebody $20 if they loan me 15, I got to stay to my words on that, right? It's like, okay, so brother, you made a statement and said that if the law of the land goes against the Bible, will we obey the Bible and not the law of the land? It's like, okay, well, I'm going to give another example. This is just another example of the law of the land being in pure violation of the scriptures. Okay, and let's talk about for a minute, and Rich will like this topic, right? The topic of abortion, right? In America, in a vast majority of the states, you can get a abortion, quote unquote, legally, because anything legal or illegal is simply somebody said, well, I tell you, you can or cannot do this. And then when you ask why, well, it's because I declare that's what it is. Right. So it's simply a man's opinion. Okay. They're not going by what Yahweh says. They're going by what man says. And that's why when you go to the verse I brought up at the beginning of the video, in Matthew, the 15th chapter, what is that, the 8th verse on down? says what? That these people, they honor me with their lips, but their hearts far from me. But in vain they worship me, teaching the doctrine and the laws of man. And that's what these brothers are doing, teaching the laws of man instead of the laws of the Most High. Okay, but look at this. Okay, you tell me if this is not talking about abortion. Let's go to the book of Exodus, chapter 21, and let's start at verse 22. It says, if men strive and hurt a woman with a child, so that her fruit depart from her, and yet no mischief follow, he shall surely be punished, according as the woman's husband will lay upon him, and he shall pay as the judges determine. And if any mischief follow, then thou shalt give life for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot, burning for burning, wound for wound, and stripe for stripe. And if any man, it's lucky, that's another topic down there. But the point of the matter of going into this is saying what? That if you get an abortion, for lack of better words, right? If a man accidentally hurts a woman that has a child in her belly, right? Well, then that would be, if the child dies, then he would be surely punished. It says what? That if any mischief follow, meaning a child dies, then you shall give life for life. That's clearly saying that abortion is a sin, to deliberately kill a child, man. That's in your, your womb. It's in your stomach. Okay, that's wicked. But in America, you're allowed to do those things. So once again, is that law of the land in pure violation of the Bible? And by logical conclusion, you would have to agree that yes, it is. It's like, okay, my brother, are you capable of understanding the points that I'm bringing up? If you made a statement, and you did, brother, you have to admit you said this, and you're still saying it today, that if the law of the land goes against the Bible, that we don't obey the law of the land and we go according to what the Bible says. Okay, that is what you said. You said that, not me. Okay, so now you have to stand by your word. So I'm showing you numerous texts in the Bible, laws of God, that are in pure violation of the law of the land. But you guys are following the law of the land instead of the law of the Lord. So you see, brother, can you anybody, is it just me, or can anybody else see the hypocrisy in the statements that this brother is making? I mean, am I the only one who can see this? How this is pure stupidity right here. And again, this is not at all about hate or contention, where this is simply, if you are correct, which you could be correct, but if you are, you need to prove that you're correct by the text. Let's go according to what the Bible says, not what ETT says, not what Tahar says, not what Baloo says, not what the Dekun and his sidekick Facade said. Let's go according to what the text says. Okay, let's go by the text. Okay, if the law of the land is in violation of the Bible, well, that we disobey the law of the land to go according to the Bible. It's like, okay, you said that. So here are multiple laws in the Bible that the law of the land is clearly in violation of. So why are you going according to the law of the land then? And nobody knows that. It's just like, well, we'll skip over that part. It's like, well, wait, I thought you had 100% truth. So if you do have 100% truth, why are you acting like a little ass kid? Why don't you address the question I am asking you? I asked you numerous times, and I have never got an answer for it. Why? If you have the 100% truth, why are you scared to engage in a conversation on the text? And then, if they do a video doing a response, all they really do is they don't really deal with the text you brought out. They just really talk slander and talk bad about you and make fun of your haircut. You know what I'm saying? That's all those brothers do. You know what I'm saying? It's pathetic. Let's see. Oh, I got another one. Let's go. Let me get this real quick. Let me see. Oh, even when you deal with what is that? Deuteronomy, the 21st chapter, right? I believe it's verse 18 on down, where it speaks about the stubborn and rebellious son, right? Hey, in America, if you hit your kid when they do bad, man, hey, you could get your kids taken away from you. But the Bible says that you can discipline your children. So that law of the land is in purely in violation of the text. So you see, I'm giving all these examples of how this statement is absolute stupidity and self-contradictory. But nobody will address that for me. It's just like, well, we don't ask questions. It's like, okay, I mean, you made a statement and said that if the law of the land goes against the Bible, well, we obey the Bible and not the law of the land. It's like, okay. So here are multiple laws in the text that came from the highest, right, from the Lord, that are in pure violation of the law of the land. So you see, the brothers are going according to what Esau says instead of what the Most High says. Am I confused on this? Am I not seeing this correctly? Am I dare anybody to tell me that what I'm saying is not true here, because it's not ETT's teaching. I'm going according to the text. Let me see. Uh, let me see. Hey, mind of God, you're on the show, man.
Hey, TT. Good afternoon, man. Good evening.
Hey, I'm doing good, man. How you doing?
All is well. I got my Chipotle, so I feel energized. How are you?
Hey, man. You like the topic we're talking about tonight?
I missed the last few minutes, but yeah, I've been listening.
Yeah. What's your whole take on this?
Um, well, I mean, I agree with you that they're not actually people who care about the law in their own life. So I'm not sure if you would go that deep or want to take it that far, but that's pretty clear to me based on a lot of their behavior.
Right. Hey, Sacramento Truth. Hey, man, if you want to join us, just click that link above in the chat and you can come on. Anyway, let me say this, mind of God, and you can give me your 2 cents.
Yeah.
Okay. Elder Apostle Gabar, and he said this many times over the past couple of years. He made a statement and said that if the law of the land goes against the Bible, well, do we obey the text and not the law of the land? What is your thoughts on that?
He said we obey the text, not the law of the land, right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what he
yeah,
said. But then when
100%.
I bring out, say for an example, if that's true, I
Yeah.
brought up this, and it was a trick question because I knew he couldn't answer this without contradicting himself or admitting he's wrong. I asked him this. It's like, okay, I agree with your statement, but here's the problem. If I go to Leviticus 20 and 13, it says, "Thou shalt put a rainbow to death." That is a commandment of God. So the law of the land is in pure violation of that. So by logical deduction, how can you sit there and say that if the law of the land goes against the Bible, well, we obey the Bible? Okay, well, here is one law that the Lord said, "Thou shalt, I command you to do this." That is in pure violation of the law of the land. What would your thoughts be on that?
Well, I mean, that's the part that I would have issues with. I think I mentioned this to you before. Like, would you equate, for example, looking at lesbian pornography as committing a homosexual act? Yes or no?
Um, I would say that in a way it would be, yes, but it's
Yeah,
not
it
the
is.
same as.
It is. It is. So that's the same as adultery, viewing somebody else's woman as adultery. And so that's why it's not happening right now. It just has nothing to do with Tahar and Gabar and Aramlab or you or me. That's why. If people are pure, they can do that. And then it also brings into the wheat and the tares, because if a person does commit that act, then we don't know. They could repent. We don't know. So that's the understanding of the wheat and the tares. So that's
But I
that's
mean,
why.
do you get the point that I'm bringing out, though? The text says that you must do that, but the law of the land says you can't do that. So do you understand the point that I'm
Yeah,
trying to present
yeah.
there?
I would just say that that's not a good one to pick. But yes, I understand what you're
Okay,
getting at. Yeah.
okay, okay. Well, let's do another one then. Let me pull this up real quick. Bear with me a moment. If that's not good, well, let's pull this one up then. Let's go to the book of Exodus, chapter 21. And let's start at verse 22, dealing with abortion. Says what? If this is Exodus 21, verse 22, says,
Mhm.
if men strive and hurt a woman with a child, say that her fruit depart from her, and yet no mischief follow, he shall surely be punished, according as the woman's husband will lay upon him, and he shall pay as the judges determine. And if any mischief follow, then thou shalt give life for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot, burning for burning, wound for wound, and stripe for stripe. Right. So it's saying what? That if basically what that's talking about is if a woman has a child in her womb, right? And a man accidentally hurts the child, well then, A, if the child dies, then you give life for life, right? So same
Yeah.
with abortion, right? That's clearly wicked. That's clearly against the Holy Scriptures. So why are we obeying that one and not the law of God then?
Yeah, I think that's the time that we live in that's difficult, man, because you also know that when you commit one sin, you've commit all of them, right? According to James. I can get that verse. So that's the difficulty, I would say, about the law and then implementing it. So what I've gathered personally is that only Christ can administer those judgments at this point, or Yahushua, because he's the only one, and he will. And then that's the time that we live in now. And he's about to, I would say. But if you have pure hands, God would not, for example, remove you from the elect. Or I mean, you can't be removed from the elect. But no, if you do have pure hands and you do things according to the law, God would be overjoyed. I think you and I agree on that. No issues. Where are those people,
Right.
though? That's the question. They're not in
There has to
GMS. That's for sure. They're definitely not in GMS. I know that for a fact. So where are they?
Right, right. And I didn't come on to debate this subject today, man. I was trying to make a statement to go over what GreatMillStone says because I was having a conversation earlier with somebody and I put the comment as the thumbnail of the stream. You might not have saw it,
Yeah.
but what happened was he made a statement and said that we obey the law of the land unless it goes against the Bible, then we obey the Bible, not the law of the land. So the point is, okay, well, here are multiple laws in the text that say one thing, but the law of the land says another.
Yeah.
So by logical deduction, how can you make a statement and say, well, if the law of the land goes against the law of the Bible, then we obey the Bible, not the law of the land? It's like, okay, here are multiple laws in the Bible that if you go out and do today, well, then you'll either be put to death or put in jail. So that shows what? That the Lord is not with the law of the land. And to say that, because you guys are out there saying what? That if you don't obey the law of the land, well, then you're sinning against God. What would mine of God's response be to that?
Wow. I think you and I think this part you and I agree on a big picture is that I don't think you and I could even come up with one law of the land that's consistent with the Bible. So I don't know why because that's all they preach. And that's the part that I actually was drawn to them. You can't even find a law of the land that's consistent with the Bible. They're all inverted. So does he have an example when you talk to him? What was he saying specifically? Like I can't even think of one. Every single law here, especially in America, actually is purposely designed to go against the Bible. So there's nothing in the land that we should obey. What was he saying?
Right, right. And he gave an example. Let me give an example, which I'll
Yeah,
just name the text because I can't mention the word on here. But one example that Gabar gave to say that, well, when say Revelation 13:16, when they do that, when they say you have to do that, he said that we don't have to follow that one because that law goes against the Bible. It's like,
yeah,
but wait a second. So that one goes against the Bible. But when they said that rainbows can walk around freely, that law doesn't go against the Bible. You see the hypocrisy in that?
yeah. Agreed. I mean, that's inconsistent because yeah, what makes that one any different? To somebody who, especially them who want to be the elect, you should hate all of them, all the ones that go
Right.
against it equally.
Or sorry to cut you off, man,
Yeah,
but I was going to throw out there again, or if that example is not enough, you bring up the whole abortion thing I brought up. The Bible says what? Basically, what it's saying that abortion is a sin, right? Abortion is murder, is what that text is equivalent to, for lack of better words, right?
hmm,
So now that we know that, how can we sit there and say that, oh yeah, well the law of the land says that you can get an abortion, right? But wait, the God of the Bible says that if you do that, you should be put to death, right? So how can we skip over that law though? So when they try to make you get this thing, we don't got to go along with that one because that goes against the Bible, is what they said. But when I bring up the laws about abortion, we don't have to go by that though. You know what I'm saying? It
yeah,
boggles the mind because this is pure stupidity here.
yeah. I mean, I don't understand. I don't understand why they're lobbying for quote unquote Esau that they call them in the times that we live in now, because we know that every single one of the laws, ordinances, bylaws, they're all stupid. All of them. I literally can't think of one. It may take me a full day to even think of one that makes sense. Um,
maybe I'll say this. Maybe, of course, the one. Well, if you commit murder to put you in jail, which that's even going off. You know why?
Hmm.
Because the scriptures say what? That if you willingly kill another man, then the punishment for that is death, not to be put in a cage for 30, 40 years of your life. That's wicked to put a man in a cage like an animal. Man's supposed to, if you commit murder on purpose, then you're supposed to be killed for committing murder, right? It's blood for blood according to the scriptures. So I mean, hell, I can't even say that one because that's even going on.
Yeah. Yeah, and we know that the prison system is a business, so a lot of times they're in there for the wrong, for too long, or, if honestly, if they get rid of somebody who's unrighteous, then it could actually be righteous. We don't know. It's like it's literally up to God ultimately to decide. So that's why it's tough, and then the system obviously doesn't care about righteousness increasing on the earth or anything like that. It's just a big
Yeah,
business.
here's the kicker. Here's the kicker, man. Can you pull up Romans the 13th chapter? I can start at the first verse.
Yep.
They were saying that this is talking about the government that we live under.
Tahar,
And,
click
and
that
real
link,
quick,
man. Defend yourself. He's got to be
and real
listening, man.
quick, why you're pulling that up? Let me just address something that Sacramento said. Hey, Sacramento. You made a statement. Let me read it real quick. He said, "Go back 50 years ago, and there were several laws that went with the law of Yah until the whole equality and acceptance kicked in." Okay, Sacramento, can you name me 5 of those in the comment section? Which again, you could be right. You could be right, but can you name some of those for me so I can look into it? I thank you very much. And then we also have our brother Fresh and New joined the chat. Let me read it real quick. He said, "Can God purify a rainbow person's mind if they are saved or elect, or are they just stuck to that?" Now, the answer to that question is that yes, the Lord, if they can sincerely repent from that, right, from that, doing, and that the Lord can forgive them for that, right? They can be forgiven if they can sincerely turn away from that lifestyle, right? The Lord can do all things. And you can look at, I'll give an example, right? Apostle Paul, what was he doing before he was called? He was out there persecuting and killing the Christians, right? That's a terrible thing to do. But hey, guess what? The Lord turned him from that, right? So to answer that question is yes, that a rainbow person who is engaging in that activity, if they can sincerely turn from that, the Lord can forgive them for that. Anyway, I'll throw back to mine again.
I would say, just because I think we understand. I mean, I don't want to put words in end time teacher's mouth, but I don't think that lifestyle is something you just sort of try and avoid. Like if you're like eating too much food or something, you discipline yourself. Me personally,
Right,
I think that that's an evil spirit. I literally think a spirit is in a person that gets them to do that because that's so unnatural. So I think that if the
right,
spirit is taken away out of their body and they're no longer that, rainbow, yeah, I mean, then they've sinned and come out of it like all of us have, whether it's heterosexual or whatever. So I can't prove that in the Bible, but I don't think that that thing is like a preference. I believe that those people have like spirits, maybe more spirits. And my guess is actually that it's like a female spirit. Like if you're a man, you actually have like a woman's spirit in your body, and like God needs to get rid of that. So I can't prove that, but that's the way I see it. So it's deep. Like you got to really like fast and pray and get that out, kind of thing.
right.
Yeah. I got Romans 13 pulled up, man, if you wanted that.
Yeah, go ahead and start from the first verse. Now, remember, as you're reading this for everybody watching, GMS, which again, no disrespect toward our brothers in Great Millstone, much respect to those brothers, but they're going off with this, so it has to be addressed. We got to deal with it. So they're saying that this is talking about the United States government or any government in general. So, Monica, go ahead and read that for us.
Does GMS stand for government mandated scriptures? What does it stand for again? Oh, sorry. No, that's an inside joke. Romans 13. Let every soul be subject unto the higher powers, for there is no power but of God, the powers that are ordained of God. Let me know. Do you want me to read the whole thing or up to a certain?
Yeah, go ahead. A few verses down is good.
Okay. Whosoever therefore resisteth the power resisteth the ordinance of God, and they that resist shall receive to themselves damnation. For rulers are not a terror to good works, but that this is the key verse right here. For rulers are not a terror to good works, but to the evil. Okay. Wilt thou then not be afraid of the power? Do that which is good, and thou shalt have praise of the same. For he is the minister of God to thee for good. But if thou do that which is evil, be afraid, for he beareth not the sword in vain, for he is the minister of God, a revenger to execute wrath upon him that doeth evil. So
They said that's talking about the Esau and this government.
that's crazy, dude. That's crazy,
Now,
man.
I'll say this. I'll say this. Now, the first couple of verses, you could read that and say by face value that, oh, yeah, well, that means to obey the government because it says the higher powers. Now, for face value, you could say that. However, going into the interpretation, that's not what it means. And I'll give a example. Just as John 3:16, it says what? That the Lord so loved the world that whosoever believes in him should not perish but shall have everlasting life. You can read that for face value and say, oh, well, see, it says everyone. But then when you go deeper into it and look up certain words and connect it with other scriptures, you can say, oh, yeah, well, the world and everyone's referring to of the nation of Israel, not of the entire actual world, right?
Right,
But for
right.
face value, it would appear to say that, right? So same with Romans 13. It does appear at face value to say that, but once you imply logic into it, you can say, oh, yeah, well, it can't be talking about that. Because wait a second, if he's God's minister, well, then why are they letting rainbows run free? Right? So basically what it comes back to, which I'm not saying they exactly said this, but by logical deduction, this is what they have to be saying, right? That God's, according to them, if the governments of the world are the ministers of God, what they are saying by logical deduction is that God's minister is a rainbow child molester rapist. That is what they have to be saying if the governments of the world are God's minister. I'll throw it back to mine again.
Yeah, I mean, I can't even. I don't think I've ever heard them break that down. That if I saw that, I mean, that'd be it. I mean, I would just be like,
Just look
okay,
up when you get free time. Just look up on YouTube Romans 13 Great Millstone teaching.
wow. But dude, so how does it feel to be above the level inside joke of Tahar now with what you know? Because you're a flat earther, you know that that's
I
nonsense
mean,
to teach that.
I mean,
So
hell, man. For all we know, ETT might be one of their 24 elders.
yeah,
Inside joke.
well, no, you're one of the two witnesses, so that'd be a step down. So I think the two witnesses are the most exalted next to Yahushai. But Pastor Anderson's probably one of the 24 elders. I have a video of that on my channel. So
Yeah, I seen
that's
that.
good company. That's good company, man. How do they mess that up, dude? That's so bad. It's so bad. Like
Right.
the one thing I loved about listening to them at the beginning was that they hated everything about this world. And I was like, that's why I watched all their videos, because I'm like, man, I hate everything too. So like, why would they go and change Romans 13 to be like, oh no, we're okay with that. The leadership, it's cool. For rulers are not a terror to good works, which means that they would be the ones who are set up to do good works. So they're obviously Israelites and righteous ones. So how could this apply to the world that we live in now? That's crazy.
Right, right, absolutely. And again, it's like, well, wait a second. If you're going to use that to say that's the government, but wait, when they bring this thing out, right, which got to use code word, but when they bring this thing out, I could go to the scripture and say, well, wait a second. It says, let every soul be subject to the higher powers. So, hey, look, that means when they say you have to get this, I can say, hey, look, well, you have to do it then, or you're going against the ministers of God. And how could they
I think
refute
they're
that
going. I
then?
think they're going to do that too. So I don't know. I can't guarantee, but it's really, really weird to me. Not you, because we talk about this almost every day. All of the GMS are silent on that. Why is that, dude? They should be having like 8-hour live streams every day talking about the whole thing. They're not talking about it. So you never know, man. We're on the right side though, because you're not falling for it clearly, but you never know, dude. That there's some deep stuff going on, because it's very, very strange that they're not, you know what I'm saying, speaking out against the thing
Hmm.
as loudly as others. It's
Right,
weird.
right.
It's weird, man.
Now, of course, I will be fair and say that they do address it a lot. However, they do got to watch what they say because, to get the channel taken down. So I do understand that perspective. But yeah, man, I mean, hell, it's very clear that something strange is going on, in the world, man. I mean, hell, only a damn fool could not see that. And then you
Yeah.
have these other cats out there, such as William Bell or some of these other guys, saying, oh yeah, well, everyone just sit back and relax because hey, look, we're living in the kingdom today. Don't forget that we're living in Christ's kingdom today, right? So this is it here. We're living in the kingdom.
Wow. If this is the kingdom, then we're smarter than God, because you and I could come up with a better setup by tomorrow. So that can't be, with the way the kingdom's described in Revelation everywhere in the Bible, really. So I can't believe people can push that in the times that we live in now, dude. That's crazy. It sounds so bad, but like 5 years ago, maybe. But now, how can somebody push that?
Oh, and he's been teaching that for about 40 years, he said.
You got to be what's known as a damn devil demon. I heard somebody say that to push that, in
Right.
August 2021, man. Really? Come on, dude. That's the cool thing though, man. ETT, you know how like the student always becomes the teacher, right? That's the way
Yeah.
it is. I'm not saying we're gonna, get money or whatever, like rain money, but like we've surpassed certain things that GMS don't teach correctly. That's fine. And then I think these streams are good because we point it out to people. You don't have to bow down to anybody. Just read the Bible on your own.
Hey, you know what a good text is, man? Can you go ahead and pull up Isaiah chapter 10 and verse 1, and we can read down from that?
Yep.
Okay, now the reason I'm bringing this up is, again, if they're going to make a statement and say, well, we have to obey the law of the land, but what if somebody declared it's a law that unicorns exist? I mean, at what point do we say, well, I won't believe this because they declare it a law? I mean, at what point do we say enough is enough? Do we go along with everything they say because they
Yeah,
say it? What,
exactly.
as I said,
Yeah.
what if I was to say that there's little green men living under the ocean? And if you say, well, that's ridiculous, but what if I was to what if I was to declare that I declare it is a law? So that means you got to go with it. Or what if, how about this? What if I have a debate with GMS and then at the end I declare it is a law that I have won this debate? They got to agree. Oh yeah, well, we'll see. He said it's a law that he won. So, hey, we got to go with that then.
Well,
Right?
no,
It's ridiculous.
Alizar will start pulling out his I'm a Levitical priest. So it won't work.
Yeah.
That's what he tried to do, by the way. Exactly what you said. He tried to declare he won just because you said that he's a Levitical priest, which was generous. I think you just did that to be polite. I would be like, you're an idiot.
Right.
I'll read Isaiah 10:1, man. Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah. It's
Woe
cool.
unto them that decree unrighteous decrees and that write grievousness which they have prescribed. So that, I mean, how much better is that verse than right now? Really?
Oh, another good one. Another good one is Psalms chapter 94 and verse 20. Can you get that one? I got my Bible with me here, but it's actually dark now, so I don't got a light. So
No,
for now on we'll have you bring up the verse.
yeah, it's faster if I do. It's fine. Psalms 94:20, you said?
Yeah, Psalms
Yeah.
chapter 94, verse 20.
Yeah. Shall the throne of iniquity have fellowship with thee, which frameth mischief by a law? Exactly,
You
dude.
know, hey
They're
man,
expressing
read that verse. Read that verse again. Let's read that slowly for
okay.
anybody who's in here has a comprehension problem.
I'll read it in ESV just for certain people, not as deep in the Bible, and I find it a little easier to read, but I'll read both. Psalms 94:20. Can wicked rulers be allied with you? Those who frame, listen to this, those who frame injustice by statute. Okay. So
Hey, there you go. It's evident, man. As I said, hey, look, the proof is in the pudding, right? If
somebody
anybody can't
call
see
an
it at this point,
ambulance. You know what I mean?
yeah, man. Hey, look, man. Hey, look. Which no disrespect to the apostles of Great Millstone, right? ETT has much sincere respect to the apostles of Great Millstone, and we're not doing this out of hate, right? We're not doing this out of hatred. We don't have hate towards those brothers. We're just saying that, hey, look, brothers, we see this differently, so why don't we just discuss it, right? There's no reason to say, well, if you're saying, well, we have a 99% truth, then you got to be some type of like,
Yeah,
troll
exactly.
scoffer demon. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. No, I learned a lot from them. I would tell them that regularly. And I think that some of them are sincere. Some of them are just misguided, and they think that that's their only option is to push that, toe that line, so to speak. But I don't know. To me, man, this is no better time for people out there, not just them, just whatever you think you're being led astray by, just come out of it, man. Literally, Revelation 18:4, come out of her, my people. So you don't have to stick in those bad doctrines.
Right. And let me just address Sacramento's comment real quick. He said, because I asked him to name me a couple laws that existed that went with the Bible, which again, I do agree there was some. So let me just read the ones he gave. He said, 1, don't kill. 2, don't steal. 3, rainbows couldn't get married. 4, women were under men, like how God says the man is the head of the household. 5, and God wasn't deliberately blasphemous by people like today. Right. And all of those are good. And I do agree, which don't get me wrong. Look, at one point in time, America was actually doing better than today, right? America was actually doing things which were correct. It's always been Babylon, right? But it has done things which are correct and in line with the text at one point or another, just like Saudi Arabia is doing things that are in line with the text. And I'll give an example. Over there, they still stone people who commit certain sins, right? Say, for an example, if you murder somebody, you'll get put to death over there for doing that. If a woman commits adultery, she'll get put to death over there for doing that, right? So they're following those ancient customs, which come from the holy text, right? So at one point in America, Babylon the Great, they actually did things which were somewhat right over here, going back, 150, years ago or so, right? So, hey, you got to give credit where it's due. At one point, America was actually doing something right. I'll throw it back to mine again.
Well, wait a minute. Why is he saying, what's he talking about? Don't steal. He thinks that that's a law of the land.
Oh, what he's doing is he I asked him earlier.
Okay.
He made a statement and said that there. Let me bring it up on the screen. He said 50 years ago there were laws of the land that did go according to the Bible, right? So I asked him to give me 5 of them, and he did, which I agree. Those do line up with the Bible and the law of the land, right? So he was just giving that for an example, right? But he's pretty much on point with what we're saying.
But that's not
Let me
now,
jump.
though.
Yeah, that's not now. He said
Okay,
in the
got it,
past.
got it. Right. Okay, cool. Yep.
Let me see real quick. Oh, he brought up if you want to get this one on the screen there. I'm not sure. Let me see.
But we can't say stealing, for example, because the whole money system is theft. So they don't
Right,
honor
right,
that. Yeah. So, okay. Maybe at one point, but certainly not now. That's for sure.
right. At one point, it was like, hey, taxation is theft,
It
right?
is
Taxation
100%.
is stealing money, saying what? You work and I'll take certain money out. Oh, and then GMS says that we have to do that, right? It's a sin to not pay your taxes. And what they do, you can pull
Oh
this up.
my
It's
gosh, dude.
let me think real quick. I believe it's Matthew chapter 22 and verse 17 on down. If you want to pull that up,
Mm-hmm. When did
right?
GMS start remixing all this stuff, man? Like, I don't remember hearing all this nonsense. And they should know, because the tax money is ultimately being used to fund weapons to fight against God, according to Second Ezra, and really everywhere in the Bible. But sorry, ETT, it was Matthew what again? You want me to get?
Matthew chapter 22 and verse 17 on down.
Okay. Tell us, therefore, what thinkest thou? Is it lawful to give tribute unto Caesar or not? Okay, so they're trying to trap him. I just got to get the rest of this pulled up here. But Jesus perceived their wickedness and said, why tempt ye me, ye hypocrites? Show me the tribute money. And they brought unto him a penny. And he said unto him, whose image is this? Sorry, whose is this image and superscription? They said unto him, Caesar's. Then saith he unto them, render therefore unto Caesar the things which are Caesar's, and unto God the things that are God's. So I don't think they
Right. So
understood.
they use that to say, well, see, that means that if the government wants to take your money, hey, but you got to give it to them. You got to pay your taxes, or you're in some type of sin. Now, how do I answer that? What does that mean? Does that mean to pay your taxes when they tell you have to? The answer is no. What does the text mean? Somebody simply brought Christ a coin, right, and they asked him, is it okay if we willingly give our money? Say, for an example, is it okay if I willingly give to Har $20? Is it okay if I willingly do that? And Christ said, oh, yeah, it's okay. Now, the context was not our rulers are telling us that we have to pay them money or they'll hurt us. Do we obey them or not? That wasn't the question. The question was, is it okay? Is it lawful to give them tribute? Yes or no? And he said it is. And now let's say this. If they were to come to Christ and on the penny, right, let's just say it was mine of God's face on it, right? Mine of God's face is on the penny.
Big
Christ
money.
would said, oh yeah, well, yeah, then give a mine of God, give him his money. That's him. His face is on it. Go ahead and give it to him. If ETT's face was on it, he'd be like, oh yeah, well, go ahead and give ETT his money because it's on
Right.
there, right? He wasn't saying that you have to pay your taxes and that you can steal money by saying, I declare it's a law that you must give me 90% of your money, or you're some type of sinner because you're not obeying what I tell you. That's not what it's talking about. First of all, the law tells you, not sure of the verse off the top of the head, but I believe it's in the book of Leviticus or Numbers. It says what? Thou shalt not defraud a man of his wages, right? So that's what taxation is defrauding a man of his living. And that's clearly going off. I'll throw it back to
Exactly.
mine again.
Yeah, that's why it's precept upon precept, man. You can't take that one verse. And that verse, I agree with your breakdown, I think, in some ways as well. It's that all money is God's because he makes the rich and the poor. So Christ is actually leaving it open for whichever. He knows that two people are going to read that. There's going to be the modern day corporate person who will be like, no, 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 just support the government and pay them. And then there's going to be another person, like I would say, people that come by here. We know that everything is God's. So we're not freaking paying. It's not righteous thing to go pay your taxes because they're using that money for evil. So that's stupid. So, but
Right,
yeah, I
right.
agree
They're
with you.
using that money. Hey, they're using that money to fund the next, war, or to this whole thing going on right now. So yeah,
Exactly.
it's just evil, right? It's all evil. Now let me say this, hey, look, pay your taxes, because if you don't, then they're gonna take your ass and put you in jail. But to say that it's wrong to not do it is clearly going off, because the text does not say it, you have to do it. So any of these cats out here, and you can see everybody's on there saying that, right? That Romans 13 means to obey our government authorities. Matter of fact, somebody came on a Ramlob's comment board, and this was a year ago or so, but they put up a comment and said that God set up these government authorities, so we are supposed to respect and obey their commands. And if we don't, well, we are in sin if we don't obey them. My God, what's your thoughts?
Oh my God, that's totally backwards. Like you're saying, I agree with you. This fool man system, as you always say, we have to pay our taxes or somebody will come. We're not powerful enough to evade them like the elite. So it's like the same as all the other stuff we were talking about earlier. You just do it or else you're going to get in trouble. So you have to walk carefully. But no, that's silly, man. Like, why do you think the elite avoid taxes? Because their tax code, they wrote it to avoid it. So we're allowed to avoid taxes in whatever way that we can, that we won't get in trouble. So they're avoiding taxes. So why would we go and pay taxes? It doesn't make sense. Like just
Right,
from a
right.
financial perspective, it doesn't make sense. Much less the Bible, which I agree with your breakdowns that no, it's not. We have to do it. There's a lot of things we have to do that we know are stupid.
Right, right. And it's funny because I always bring up the question to them. It's like, okay, that if we do have to obey the laws of the land, it's like, okay, well, what about when you go back to Revelation 13:16, when they say you have to do that? Well, who's to say that we don't got to go with that? Because you guys said that we have to obey what they tell us. But you see, what they're doing is they're like
Hmm.
deliberately making stuff up as they go along, right? They're just making
Yeah,
it up to
100%.
go with the doctrine.
100%.
But then when you ask questions, it's like when I asked them about the whole, Leviticus 20 and 13, because again, going by his statement, which again, much respect to the elder apostle, but you can't go around just saying things like, what about like when I was on there with, D Kuhn and his sidekick Basad, and then the chief priest himself. I asked him a question. I asked him a question because he said that you can't tell me I am wrong. He told me that I cannot tell him that he's wrong on his teaching of the scriptures. It's like, okay, so I asked him a question and said, okay, so what if you're going around saying that you are Christ, just like our friend Concave Earth Christians is doing? So I can't tell you you're wrong on that. I have to believe you because you said it, right? And he really couldn't answer that question.
He's a clown, dude. ETT stands for exceeded Tahar terrifically. You should change your whole freaking name, dude. You're good, man. You don't have to. Okay, it's not. We're not like actually biting the hand that fed us if they just let us talk to them, like normal people. But it's not
Oh
just
yeah,
them.
absolutely.
It's the same. Even with people like Call for an Uprising in Russian vids, like I do agree with quite a bit of what they teach, but you can't go against what they're saying. They're like, no, this is it. Yeah, I give you credit. I do actually give you credit on certain things. You're like, yeah, it could be 50-50. You don't know. And I think that that's why people like you and I would say deeper into the Bible, it's pretty rare because we can admit that we're wrong. And it's not like the end of the world kind of thing. I mean, it is the end of the world, but you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
And I'll,
Yeah.
I'll say this, man. I'll say this, hey, look, IETT, hey, look, I'll admit this, man. I don't know what the hell is going on. I don't know a damn thing.
Well,
Hey,
I think
look,
you do
I
know
could
what's
be
going
wrong.
on. I think you do.
I could be wrong. I
Yeah.
could be wrong, right? And I'll always be open to that. Hell,
Yeah.
I could be certainly wrong with what I'm saying. But, these guys out here, they're saying, oh, well, we got 100% truth. And if you dare challenge us on one thing, then you have to be some type of like sellout
Yeah.
to say that we got 99% truth. I mean, how could we not have 100? So then an
Hmm.
interesting thing also happened, because earlier I was having a conversation. I put up on Tahar's video, I said underneath it, I said research flat earth to start a whole nother can of worms on there. And then of course, some guys came on that and were saying that but it says that it's the circle of the earth. So I was like, well, wait a second, but the flat earth model is a circle too. They didn't know that. They just said, "We'll go find the edge of the world and fall off it or something."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, dude, I really wish I could have got that hangout where they were quote debunking the flat Earth with all their leaders. They took it off YouTube for good reason because it was the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Oh my gosh, dude, we could have played it and just started laughing the whole time, dude. It was so bad. They're like, oh, the missiles are gonna shoot, and then it's gonna be flat. So what? It's gonna crack the world in half. That's what they were saying.
Right.
Oh my god,
I
dude.
remember, man, when they had that coon on there. What's that guy? Brother Polite. Which again, don't get me wrong, that guy is very smart. I would lose in a debate with him, not because he knows much, because well, he does know a lot. He doesn't know the scriptures, but he knows a lot. So he's very sly and slick with how he would prove or disprove something to you, right? And I know that from watching his debates. But he was out there, man, and they told him, "Hey, look, man, when those missiles come, they're gonna get your ass, man." And he was like, "Hey, look, man, I'll just hop on a plane and fly the hell out of this place." What he said.
Wow. Some people might try that. You don't know what Bezos and them are planning because they know what's coming. So they know where to go. They're trying to get out.
Oh, just like I was watching one of Russian videos the other day. It was that one where they had the that Rapture video, and then they had the that beer
Yeah.
in it. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, that one. I was watching that. And he was, saying, which I didn't watch the whole thing, but he was basically saying, yeah, the alien agenda, because there was a video I saw on the side recommended about the false alien, deception. They want to trick people to think that there's aliens, coming, right? That UFOs aren't real and all that. So
Right.
that's one topic I would disagree with him on that. Yeah, it is true that they are trying to trick people to believe in the aliens. That's true. But
Yeah.
the UFOs, they do exist. I mean, hell, I've seen them with my own eyes. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
exactly. I got a reply from Eric Dubay, man. I'm glad you brought that up. I wanted to read that to you. He's
Go
actually
ahead.
pretty good at replying. So remember I told you that I asked him about the UFOs, right? Just because
Yeah.
he didn't have time for a debate. So I was like, quick question. These recent, more frequent UFO sightings, what is your take on these? Part of a government agenda or spiritual? This is what he replied. I think there is some kind of legitimate extra dimensional aspect to some of these entities, but for the most part, especially anything promoted by the mainstream media as part of the planned Blue Beam alien agenda. And then he sent me a link to his website on Blue Beam. And I just said, thank you, Eric. Hope all is calm on your end. Peace. So he's pretty good at replying. So I give him credit for that. So it looks like
Yeah.
they all
Um,
think that this is Blue Beam. So we'll
right,
see.
right. Which, as I said, man, I mean, hell, could they stage a fake alien invasion? I mean, hell, they could, but I'm not going to bet on that. I'm not going to go around teaching people they're going to do that. Now, as I said, could they do that? Sure, they could,
Yeah,
but I'm not going around telling anybody they're going to do that because we don't know what the hell, their next, plan is with all of this. But the point of the matter is that these things are real, and we know that. Why? Because it said what? That the Lord will begin to visit the world, right? And these
exactly.
UFOs are the chariots of the highest power, and whether they can receive that or not is irrelevant. But hey, by these things, we can see what? That hey, the Lord is now beginning to visit the world, just as it just says, what is that? Second Ezra, the ninth chapter, right?
Mm-hmm.
When we see all these things, and we're seeing it. I mean, hell, you had the whole eviction moratorium. It came to an end, what, a day or two ago, which I'm not sure if they were able to extend it now. They might have done it today or so, but yeah,
Yeah,
man, it just shows you. And even if they do kick the can down the road for another month or two, eventually something's going to happen. You can't make these landlords wait for rent for
yeah,
years on end.
exactly,
They
exactly,
can't do that.
exactly.
So eventually, something's gonna give, for lack of better words. I'll throw it back to you.
Yeah, I mean that's a great way to put it. You can only kick the can down the road for so long, like that's really what we're dealing with is the last breaths breathed out of this quote unquote empire, this queendom, as GMS says, which is correct. Yeah, I don't know, man. I can't tell you. This is exciting, dude. I was listening to Call for an Uprising earlier, dude. He was getting emotional, dude. I was like, dude, Call for an Uprising. He's like, oh, I finally realized, like all the videos that I've posted, we're living in it, and you could tell like he had a wake up moment that I think we've all had recently, or probably you've had earlier than me. But we're all like, oh, dude, this is it. This is it.
I mean, hell, man. Hey, look, this has to be it, man. As they say, and the words of Rudy McNutt before he took his own life, it was like, hey guys, this is it, right?
Yeah,
Then 2 seconds later, his head split like a damn watermelon. But anyway, you know, this truly has to be it, man. I mean, hell. How can
Yeah.
this place go on any longer? It just there's too much that's going on right now, right?
And
Hey, look, go
sorry,
ahead.
go ahead. No, go ahead, ETT. My bad.
Oh, I was gonna say, man. Hey, look, what's going on is this? It's all very clear. Is that Yahushai, or who the world calls Jesus Christ, is beginning to very soon make his second coming. That's what's going on in the
Yeah,
world.
for sure.
All the signs are there. Scriptures say what? That when you shall see earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, then you shall well understand that this is the very same time where the highest will begin to visit the world. Right. So we're in the beginning now, where the highest has now begun to visit the world. I'll throw it back to you.
Yeah, and I would say the interesting thing, and this is not to boast, this is why you and I spent a lot of time on this in the last few hangouts, is that the deceived and the deceiver are his, right? So
Mm-hmm.
if God is going to do the blue beam, because ultimately he would be behind it, he would let his people know. So we would know about it, Oh, okay, well, there's going to be that first, okay, or whatever. But we don't have that. We know that we're not deceived because we know what these things are happening. And then notice how pretty much all these channels are talking about UFOs now, like all the comedy channels, news, aliens, like really all of a sudden now it's just all of a sudden UFOs become the cool talk. Really? Come on, dude. Like, I don't think so, man. I agree. He's already visiting, but he's about to formally visit the world that he's made in the sky. All eyes will see him. Imagine if
Right,
the
right.
Bible
Hey, man,
wasn't
you
true.
like that
ETT.
channel? Go ahead.
ETT, imagine if the Bible wasn't true, like the whole thing. Like, can you imagine how big of a freaking deception that would have been? I think about that once in a while. I'm like, dude, what if the whole thing is like wrong? And then obviously what I teach is completely wrong because it doesn't matter what the interpretation is. But I'm like, at this point, for me, that's impossible. I would say we don't know the day, but it's going to come true soon.
Right, right. And that's a very interesting, topic. I want to do a stream on that because, all you got to do is look at certain things, such as, for an example, they actually found, Noah's Ark, Mount Sinai, Sodom and Gomorrah. They found all these places, and anybody can do the research on it.
Yeah,
They found these, so that gives the authenticity to the text. But also, when you deal with the prophecies, right? When you deal with the prophecies, that gives us a whole nother aspect, because other books out there, such as, say, for an example, the Talmud, or the Egyptian Book of the Dead, or the Quran, to name some of those other quote unquote holy books,
yeah,
or books that give are from a divine intelligence, for a lack of better words. The one book that stands superior is the Skipji's. You know why? Because it has prophecies in it. So how is it that man
exactly.
2,000 years ago wrote about something we're now seeing now, right? With the, Revelation 13. And then also you have Babylon the Great being described. But wait a second, that matches the description of America, right?
To
So
a
so it
T.
shows,
To a T.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So it shows, man, that hey, there clearly has to be something. Something has to be up with that book.
I mean, even just the UFO things too. It's like, how does it quote unquote know about that? And then all that kind of stuff. And then, I mean, there's too many that we could list that it's bang on about. I believe Job 9:24 prophesies what we're seeing, you know, but I mean, it's
Right,
like
right.
there's so many examples, man. Like it's incredible, dude. Like the Bible for me went from a theoretical, oh, like maybe I'll read it for inspiration today, to like flat Earth, to I already sort of knew Mystery Babylon a little bit, I think, before that. But I mean, it's like came right into our living room, man. It's amazing.
Right, right, man. And as I said, I mean, hell, I was watching one of Eric Dubé's videos this morning, which I got to go back and watch the rest of it later. But I was watching the one he did about the evolution and the dinosaurs. Which I'll say this: I don't agree with him on the dinosaurs. Right, the dinosaurs did live, but the thing is, they did not live 60 some million years ago. No, they lived with man, and it can be clearly proven. You have something called the Inca stones, and anybody can look those up. You have clay figures that's been found, right? They're thousands of years old, that are clearly dinosaur figures. Just to name a few, and then even dinosaurs are mentioned in the scriptures. There's been thousands of stories throughout history of men or tribes fighting these creatures. They call them dragons because the word dinosaur didn't come around until the 1800s, right? So I don't agree with him on that. He's completely going off on the
Yeah.
dinosaurs. But as far as evolution, on how it cannot be true. right? So I recommend anybody check that out, if you're able to.
Shout out Eric Dubé, man. I'm sure he's subscribed to you, man. We got to talk, man. Don't hide from us. We'll
Hey,
be nice.
man, did you ever read his book, man, The Flat Earth Conspiracy? Hey, my father gave me that book, man, because I believe one of his friends had it and they gave it to him. Was like, hey, man, look into this book, give this a read. So he gave it to
Nice.
me, which I already knew about that. I've been into the whole flat Earth thing for probably good about 5 years now. But yeah, I gave that book a read, man. And it just makes it even more clear, man. Have you ever heard of that book?
No, I didn't even know about his. I pretty much just know him through his YouTube. Like I know he sells stuff on Amazon. So,
Like,
um,
hey, look, man.
hmm.
Pick up a copy of that book, man. You're really gonna like that book. There's a lot of good information in there.
So once I get through the Apocrypha, I'll probably look at the Lost Prophecies of America because that sounds relevant. And then
Oh, have you
I guess
looked
that
into
one.
that?
No, but I think that'll be what I'll read after this when I'm done this. But
Yeah,
this
yeah.
this
You want? Hey,
Apocrypha is
look, man.
huge, man. It's freaking big, man. Like it takes me so long to go through it, but yeah,
Yeah, yeah, man. The Apocrypha, is a deep book, man. But you still got guys on there saying, "Oh, no, the Apocrypha that's like some type of like they call it canon scripture, right? It's not
yeah,
inspired. It's
right,
not inspired, is what they say. Which I mean, how the hell can one say that the Apocrypha is not inspired? I mean, hell, Christ himself deliberately quoted out of the Apocrypha, such as
yeah.
did other apostles, right? But anyway, that's a whole
Yeah, if
nother.
they're an Israelite and they're sincere, then I mean, I think that it's part of the Bible, And then, like you said last time, they may say things that doesn't represent God, but we learn from that. It's not like we read everything and be like, oh, okay, God says we can do that now. No, sometimes He'll put things in the text so we don't do what that person did. So that's it.
Right,
It's not
right,
a big deal.
absolutely.
Dude, check this out, man. I got a thought experiment for you, man. And this is again not for us to boast, but imagine we took maybe 3 or 4 of the truths that we agree on, like flat Earth, like a mystery Babylon, hell, and then even reincarnation. Like let's take 4, okay? And then we go and
Yeah.
ask everybody on Earth. Like there's literally a big lineup, and then they come by, and then we ask them what are their opinion on those 4 things. Is that in the Bible? Do you believe that? How many people would we get? Probably like 100. So no, obviously more, but like nobody. And we're just talking about those 4. So this is again why I believe strongly that we're in the end times, not as an arrogant point, but these truths are obvious to at least me and ETT. I'm just talking about those 4. There's other ones too that are obvious, and it's never going to be taught again. You know what I mean? It's not like your kids or my kids are going to like, oh, I'll pass on, T Mug's teaching to the next generation. Like they're also going to be like, what the hell are you talking about? Kind of thing. So that sounds arrogant, but that's the way I think, because I'm like, these truths are so obvious to us, like they must have been for us, and that's it.
Right, right. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And that goes into what we were saying about the predestination thing, is because when you go to for an example, when you go to Jeremiah, the first chapter, it says what? That before Jeremiah was even born, the Lord knew him and had ordained him to be a prophet unto the nations. Right. So before he was even alive in that reincarnation, the Lord already predestined him to do what he was, which was what? A prophet unto the nations. Right. And also, man, a very interesting thing that I was looking at, which you probably know about this, but it's always good to go over, is I
Mm-hmm.
was marking, in the text. What I do with my Bible is I go to certain verses, and on the side I write the precepts that go along with it. So if I'm out teaching or getting a conversation with somebody, I can go, say, for an example, to John 3:16, and on the side of that I have 4 other verses that I can bring up to prove my point in case I don't remember them when I'm out there, right? So I was going through um Jeremiah, the 50th chapter, and Jeremiah, the 51st chapter. And I marked it up and connected it with Revelation 18 and 17. And you can clearly see that Jeremiah was referring to modern day Babylon. It wasn't talking about ancient Babylon. Because if you read it, it is clearly in multiple different places referring to the exact same Babylon in Revelation. So that might be interesting for you to look back over, man.
Yeah, I was reading Apocrypha a couple of days ago, and then they were quoting Joshua. The circuit of the sun and the moon, and then he's quoting Jasher. So they're all quoting each other. So I mean, how could it not? Like, what did they just make that up or whatever? Like, really? You can't
Hey, we
remember.
got a question coming in. We got a question coming in. Sacramento Truth Movement asked a question and said, "Is the mind of God a Trinitarian?"
I gotta look that word up, man. That's a
Oh,
billion
okay.
dollar word,
What the
man.
word? Okay, what the word means? What the word means is basically, do you believe that the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit are the same entity, or are they all different? It's like the
They're
Trinity.
different. Yeah, they're different for sure. Yes, they're different. Yeah.
Okay. Now, if he was to ask, because he might disagree, how would you prove to him, and for any listener who might disagree?
I would probably the one that I think you would think of is the Christ doesn't know the timing of his own return. So there's a separation of knowledge first and foremost, and then Christ prays to the Most High, and so that's he's not praying to himself, which would be very arrogant and kind of weird, strange. And then the Holy Spirit. I know you don't teach the virgin birth, but the Holy Spirit was the one who is working with Mary to bring Christ. So that's a separate functioning entity as well. So they all
Right,
have their
right.
unique
Now,
roles.
yeah, one verse that I would bring up that would refute that is, I'm not sure off the top of the head, but it's in Revelation. Christ said, "What? To him that overcomes, I will grant him to sit with me in my Father's kingdom, right, in the temple of my God." And he uses the word "my God" like 3 or 4 different times in the same text, right? So Christ clearly was saying that he has a God, right? So who is the God of God? If Christ is the Most High God, well, who is the God of the Most High God? Because he said, "What? To him that overcomes, he shall sit with me in the temple of my God." And that was Christ speaking there. Right. So it shows that there is a distinction, for lack of better words.
I got a good one
Let me
for you
just read
too,
this.
if you want me to
Real,
back you
real
up with
quick,
that.
real quick.
Yep.
Let me just read this real quick. He said, Sacramento commented and said, "I don't believe in the Trinity Godhead figure. Just wondering. I know you don't, ETT." All right, good man. I wasn't aware, but yeah, it's good that you don't subscribe to that. Anyway, I'll throw it back to mine again.
Yeah, this is John 4:22 for the numerology people. 22, you add that, you get 4. So this is John 4:4. This is for God's elect. Ye worship, ye know not what we know. Listen to this. We know what we worship. So he's saying he puts himself in it, for salvation is of the Jews. So yeah, it's the same thing that ETT was talking about with Revelation 3:12. I will make him a pillar in the temple of my God. So it's, yeah, exactly. So Christ, your Yahushua, was created by the Most High.
Right, right, absolutely. Um, so yeah, man, as I said, man, it's crazy, man, when you look at these, churches, and it's funny because all the times that I've been to these churches, man,
Yeah.
they'll never talk about anything that revolves around the end times, right? Which I know somebody, in my family who's actually a pastor, right? And if you bring up topics such as, the end times or whatever, they'll say, well, people been saying that for, hundreds, thousands of years. So, it's no different today. We're not people been saying that forever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. That's a weak argument now with the um, MOTB. Everybody knows what I'm talking about. At least cooking. You don't have to, whatever you take your stance on it, it's brewing. Okay. The pot is being brewed, so to speak. So that's a weak argument in the days that we live in now.
Right, right. Absolutely, man. But yeah, going back to, let's say, for an example, the whole evolution thing, man. I was watching, Eric's video about it, and he brought up a point. It was saying, about the whole Big Bang thing. It's like, well, wait a second. In school, they'll teach about the Big Bang, but it's like, well, how the hell do you know? And it's like they'll sit there and say, well, this is a scientific fact. It's like, well, wait a second. Nobody was there. Well, they say, what is it, 14 billion years ago or something
Yeah,
like that?
exactly.
It's like, well, wait
Really?
a second. Nobody was there to witness it. So how the hell can you sit there and say it's a scientific fact if nobody has ever been there to witness an event like this take place? It's like, what if I was to make a statement and say, well, there's little, green men who live under the ocean in a cave system or something? Somebody would say, oh, that's ridiculous. But then it's like, well, how do you know? It's like,
Yeah.
and then if I say, well, I declare it's a law if that is true. So, well, we got to go with it then.
Yeah.
Inside joke.
That's basically what's happened, though. Really, that sounds funny, but that's literally what's happened with the school system over the years. They could literally teach our kids. I mean, I don't have kids, but everybody's kids whatever they want. Literally, like a boy is not a boy or a girl is not a girl, and
Oh, and
all that.
remember, you are forced to go to school, right? You're forced to
Yeah,
attend
exactly.
these public indoctrination centers until when you're 16. You can leave if you want, but you have to attend them, right? And if not, then they'll kidnap your children from you and give them to another family who will make them go. Right. So, hey, look, the scriptures say what? We all went astray when we came out of the womb, right? When we came into the world, we all went astray. I went astray, mighty God went astray. All of our brothers on the comment board, we all went astray
Yep.
as soon as we were born. Right. But hey, look, there came a time where hey, look, scriptures say what? That Yahweh Shai, will knock on the door. If any man opens, I will sup with him and he'll sup with me. Right. So there came a point where we actually woke up and realized that, hey, the world isn't real. Just like RV Truth says, right? The world isn't real. Right. We woke up and saw that the world is the stage, right? And we're all in the audience.
It's a
We woke up
facade,
and saw
so to speak. Sorry.
it.
I had
Yeah,
to.
it's
My
it's
bad.
a
Sorry.
it's a facade.
It's a
It's all a facade. Inside joke. Um, let me read real quick. Mighty God, you want to address fresh and news comment real quick? I put it on the screen for you.
Yeah, Sacramento says he wants to share the video, man. Shout out Sacramento Truth Movement, dude. I have no issues with it. You know, I'm who I am. You can share anything from my channel and whatever you want, even if you want to
Yeah,
critique
that's
it,
cool.
go for it.
Yep. Let's see. Fresh and news said, "What is the difference between sorcery and Solomon's wisdom? He was able to use magic. He had something called a uh charm worm that could alter matter and cut stone and diamond." Which you'll have to put up the verses on that, man, because when I read it, I didn't see that. Now, could that be in there? Sure, if you could show me. But that goes into the whole thing that we were talking about last time with the stones at what is it, Punku? Everyone could look that up, but they have these stones over there, these massive, thousands of pounds stones that look like they have been cut with laser technology. Yeah, so
Right.
you got to conclude that, hey, look, these things exist. We don't know how the hell they did it, but it's there. It exists, right? Just like the pyramids. They don't know how the hell they made these things, but hey, they're there. So it did happen, right? So could they
Yeah.
have had that technology back then? I mean, hell, they could have. I wasn't back then. I wasn't there to witness it. I don't know today. You know what I'm saying? So that's up for speculation. Anyway, I'll throw it back to
Dude,
Money.
we cannot be the smartest. I don't know how to say this. I think we cannot be the smartest generation, man, because they had miracles happen regularly with the Israelites and probably in other nations too. Like they probably had spiritual things too, like people, like not obviously chosen like the Israelites, but I mean, there were miracles regularly. So it wasn't a big deal for the apostles to heal and bring somebody from the dead and all that. So I just would say for people, maybe not that common because I'm not sure about the verses, but when you read the Bible and you see things that seem weird, but just know that like they're spiritual people. Like they can turn like a staff into a snake, and that's not a big deal for them. Like they're like, oh, okay, God's doing that. If we saw that now, we would go crazy. Like we'd be like, what the hell just happened, kind of thing. Like
Right,
our
right. And
keyboard turns
also
into a
it
snake.
should it should be mentioned, right, that there is certainly a type of magic that man can indulge in, because when Moses took the rod, I believe it was Aaron's rod, if I'm not mistaken, but when they cast it down, it became a snake, right? But then the Egyptians, they also did the same thing, right? By their sorcery, and they threw a rod down or a stick, and it also became a serpent, right? So it shows that man does have a knowledge of certain type of power,
Yes.
of magic or something like that. Now, whether that be demonic energy involved in it, I'm not sure, but I do certainly believe that there is something to that, going off that one story, alone. Anyway, let me read a comment real quick. Sacramento said, "The Big Bang is a scientific theory. And in that, it's just a theory. Like evolution, it's also a scientific theory. Can't entirely be proven. Even the name has theory in it. The Big Bang Theory."
Yeah,
Right. And that's
exactly.
and that's true. And as I said, man, it's like when you ask questions about evolution and whatnot, it's like, well, when someone asks, well, how did the fish come out of the water and start to develop on land? Because when you take a fish out of the water, within less than 4 minutes, if the fish don't get back in the water, that fish is going to be dead, right? So how the hell could the fishes eventually come onto the land and start to evolve into
Yeah.
air breathing animals? It doesn't make logical sense because it didn't happen. It's impossible to happen. I'll throw it
That's
back to Monica.
insane. That's insane to think that. One thing I want to mention, dude, about the point you're talking about earlier. about technology, and that this, I can't prove this, but what I think is possible is, all the other nations that served the Israelites in the past, like built up their
Right.
stuff, and I wouldn't be surprised if those are like the modern day Masons in the reincarnation, because like they learn stuff, because they're around the chosen people, right? And then I don't know, maybe
Right.
I could be one of those people, but and then that's where I think they learned all their stuff from. They didn't like they're copying God's people, is what I'm trying to say. And kind of the same thing you were talking about with the staff and the snake and all that. So that's what we have. We have essentially a modern day counterfeit version of what God does. Just even the mark is a good example, because he had a spiritual mark in the Old Testament, and then now we see what's going on. So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, if the modern day Masons were just people who were closer to the Israelites in the past lives. I can't prove that, and I don't want to prove that, but you never know.
Right. Right. That's a fair, point to have on it, man. But yeah, man, going back to the whole, name of the video thing, man. Is there any other stuff, any other beefs with GMS that you want to incorporate into this video here?
Well, I would say I have the same beefs with them as I have with others, even like Russian vids, and I just realized that it's not their it's not their lane, so to speak. We can't convince Russian vids, for example. Shout out Russian vids, but of certain things of the Bible, it's just not for him. If he started talking about even one of the things we talk, all of his viewers will go away, like all of them. So the fact that we have 6 people watching, 7 people watching here, to me proves that we have a better likelihood to be in the truth. And that's not an arrogant thing. That's just the way the world is. Don't blame me. So I think it's the same with GMS. Like they kind of have to talk a certain way to keep people engaged, which is weird because they seem to hate every aspect of the government, but
Right,
it's
absolutely.
weird.
Because it's like, say for an example, they know the Earth is flat, but they can't go into that because then they have to admit that doctrine is wrong, and they're gonna lose some followers. Just like Russian vids
Exactly.
can't go into and to say that, say for an example, that black people are the Israelites of the Bible, right? And I remember a few years ago he did a stream I was watching, and he
Mm-hmm.
made a mention that he had a friend who was a black Hebrew Israelite, and he's pretty cool with them, but he don't really agree with their teaching, right? So he can't come on there and start to teach that because people will go away, right?
Yeah.
Oh, they can't come on there and say that a girl becomes a woman at 12 years old. I mean, hell, that'll from that one thing alone, half of the YouTube subscribers will drop overnight by saying that. Why?
No,
Because
all of
that's
them.
one
All
truth.
of them would.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, all of them
Yeah.
for even questioning such a statement. Oh, you must be some type of weird person to
Yeah.
even question, the government's narrative. I mean, why would they lie about something like that? Everybody knows that everyone under a magic number
Right.
is not an adult. Everybody knows that. It's just absolute nonsense, man. I'll throw it back.
Yeah, I agree. I think you and I are comfortable, and this is why it's okay if we're further along than certain people. We're comfortable with the fact that literally everything's a deception, and that's what I realized. Shout out facade, but everything is a deception, dude. Even the legal age, that's a deception. The prison system, the court system, the financial system, the religious structures, everything. So
Hey,
YouTube,
as the horse said, man, as the horse said when he was out there with Brother Polite when they were going over, that, because the horse said, what, hey, look, in the kingdom, we're going to be getting them young. We're going to get them when they're 12 years old. And Brother Polite was out there like, oh, that's some type of like weirdness. And the horse was like, hey, look, man, you see, you were brought up in this man fool system. So that's the way that you think, which is right. We were all brought up in this man fool system, right?
yeah,
So we have all been deceived to believe in what they want us to think. Right. So we have all been deceived, as the scriptures say, what? From birth we have all went astray. We have all went astray
yeah,
from our birth, right? To believe in these lies that they, have incorporated into the school systems, right? We've all went through the school system. I went through the school system. My guy went through it. I'm sure
yeah,
everyone in the comment board did. We all had to go through that. But hey, something happened along the way where we said, you know what? Something isn't right here.
yeah.
You know what? We're going to question what the quote unquote authority have told us,
Exactly,
right? And I did that at a
exactly.
young age, right? I started to do that when I was 12 years old, right? Now,
Right.
so for some of us, it might be when we're around 50 years old, right? Some of us might be 20. It's all different for all of us. But at one point of our lives, we made a choice to go against the grain, for lack of better words. I'll throw it back to my guy.
Yeah, I think this is the part that I think your argument is very simple to win, actually, because we look at our body as an output of God's creativity, right? So let's just forget about the Bible. Let's just look at our body, okay? Men, we want to like provide. That's the way we are, right? We want to provide for a lot of people. That's our natural built-in instinct. And women want to reproduce, like, raise a family and all that kind of stuff. So why would a woman need to wait for that? And for us have to go through 20 years of education, for example, to provide for people in this stupid system. So everything is delayed against our natural design of just studying our body. So, I mean, what would God go against what he designed? Like, no, I was just kidding about that design. Let's remix this. It doesn't make sense. Everything in the Bible, when you think about it, actually is consistent with our body, 100%.
Right, right. And another good point is that, just 100 years ago, you had children that were working in these factories at like, 10, 11 years old, right? 12, 13 years old, they were out there working. And why is that? Because, hey, at a younger age, you had to be taught, hey, look, you have to become mature and be able to do these things. And they were able to. Why? Because they were taught how to do it. So, hey, look, today, these kids out here, oh, I'm absolutely sure that a 10-year-old could definitely work at a job if they were taught how to do it, if they were brought up the correct way. And that's all it goes back to. That's why, as certain countries, right, as Larkin Rose would say, oh, the crunchies inside around the world,
Yeah.
they had to grow up quick. They had to grow up quick. That's why they're out there working full time at 14, 15 years old, because they had to grow up quick. But
Yeah.
over here in the West, they're just sitting around playing video games all day. They're not learning nothing.
Yeah.
Right. But that just shows that it all goes back to the way that they are raised. The scriptures say what? Train up a child in the right way, so that when he's older, he will not depart from the faith. Right. So you got to train the children up the right way. And that's why in ancient Israel, look, if you were just sitting around on your ass all day, hey, you ain't going to be doing that. You're going to get out there and work. That's why you have a statement that goes, hey, look, eat, work, eat, for lack
Yeah.
of better words.
Right.
Let me
Exactly.
read the comment real quick. Sacramento Truth Movement said, ETT, I have a question for you. I follow the dietary laws. I don't eat pork and the forbidden animals like shrimp, etc. But are mushrooms forbidden? I eat mushrooms. I thought it's a vegetable, but it's a fungus. Now, let me say this. You have one guy on there. I believe his channel name is the Wrath of Heaven 144 or something like that. He is on there saying that magic mushrooms are the manna that came down from heaven. That's a side topic. But to answer your question, you can eat mushrooms. That's perfectly fine to eat those. Now, of course, do your research on them, because I'm sure certain kinds of mushrooms are not beneficial for you. So as long as you can do the research on them, from my understanding, you should be perfectly fine by eating those. But anyway, mind of God, have you ever heard that teaching
Hmm.
that the manna that came down from heaven is talking about mushrooms?
No, I'm not, dude. That's insane. That's wild, man.
Yeah. And listen here. He was buddy with GMS, and anyone can look this guy up. I believe the channel
Huh.
is Wrath of Heaven 144 or something like that. But yeah, he used to be a big GMS guy, man. And I'm talking about good 2 years ago or so. I
Yeah.
watched all his videos. But then what happened is he started to teach that the manna that came down from heaven when the Israelites were in, the wilderness, he was teaching that that's talking about, he calls it magic mushrooms, but they're really just mushrooms. He just gives it that name. And then GMS said, "Oh no, well, you can't be teaching that here." So he does all types of videos,
Jeez.
cursing the apostles and GMS or whatever, all because of magic mushrooms. I'll throw it back to you.
I mean, I would say in the times that we live in now, it's actually sort of simple. Just keep a low profile. Don't do anything too crazy, all that kind of stuff. But all the food is garbage. So I, for example, eat at Chipotle 2-3 times a week. That keeps me okay. But I don't really. I'm not a foodie, so I don't really like have too many issues when it comes to food, because I can eat the same thing over and over again. I have no problem with that. So.
Oh, guess who stopped by the channel earlier? You might remember our old friend, Teachers of Truth. Remember that guy?
Oh, did he really? I saw that
Yeah,
Concave
yeah,
Earth Christians also posted a message, man. He wants some smoke.
yeah. They were both on there. Teachers of Truth came on and was saying, well, the Revelation 13 is talking about paper money. So I asked him a question and said,
Oh
okay,
man.
if that's true, if that is true, well, do me and you have it then? Because we both use paper money to make our purchases. And he couldn't answer that. I was just like, well, we'll skip over that question.
People like that make the Bible true to me because that's so ridiculous, dude. Really? You know, that's your revelation, man. Come on, dude. Um, was he on this hangout or a previous one?
Oh, he didn't come on the actual show. He was in the comment section on a recent video I uploaded. He stopped
Oh,
by.
got it. I had a debate with him back in the day, man.
Oh,
And
I saw that. I saw that.
yeah, I mean, it would change now because of what's going on. So it'd be even harder for him to pull that stunt now. So
Hey, that guy is tap dancing around those scriptures like the bottom half of Betty Rips.
I mean,
Inside joke.
dude, the Bible is literally being spoon fed to us, and I'm like saying this respectfully, man. It's like God's literally like it's just telling us every day that it's true, So I don't know how people can say that, man. It's crazy, dude.
Right, right, absolutely. Um, Let me see. Sacramento said, "I eat at Subway and two goes. Don't know if you know what two goes is, but I eat lots of sandwiches. Yeah, that's good, man. What I do is just look at the ingredients and the stuff you buy. Just make sure there's no, may I say, pork products. Now, let's say this: if they do put one in and it's not there on the label, then it's not your fault, then, right? Because the scriptures say you'd eat your food defiled among the heathen, right? But we're not supposed to deliberately say go around and order pepperoni pizzas and that. We're not supposed to be doing that, willingly eating these things. But by doing your research on what's in the food, if they do put something in there without you knowing, then that won't be held against you. And I'll give an example. I went to damn Popeyes, and I remember a Gorilla Hebrew. The chief priest got shot at Popeyes a few years ago. I remember
Really?
that. Yeah, yeah, you got to look into that, man. But anyway,
Hmm.
I ordered my damn $5, chicken box, and as I'm eating it, I end up having a shrimp that was in there, and I didn't know because it looked like chicken. So I ate that and I was like, oh, that tastes strange. And it turns out it was a shrimp. But hey, I didn't know because I ordered chicken, right? So things like that are not going to be held against you. All right. Just to give a carnal example out there. Um, let's see.
Yeah, I would also
Sacramento said,
I
go
would, for
ahead.
people out there, do some research on what's involved in the thing. We all know what that is. So there's unclean things in there. I think that's very obvious, but that's why I want people to know that we're living in those days where it's not us anymore. God is going to decide which team is he on because there's a separation happening in the world, and a lot of us are choosing God. And so it's amazing, man. Sorry to interrupt, man. Go for it.
Yeah, yeah. As I was saying, man. Hey, look, we're all going to have to make a choice very soon, and that goes for me. That goes, hey, look, that goes for Great Millstone. That goes for ETT. That goes for Mind of God. That goes for LUIC, ISUPK, Sakari. Even though we all have our differences in our teachings, we're all going to have to make a choice very soon. It's either are you going to go along with this whole thing, this whole narrative, or are you going to stand against it? We're all going to have to make that choice very soon, right? No matter what camp we're of, no matter what field of theology, we're all going to have to make that choice, right? Because we're coming into that hour of temptation here, right? An hour
100%.
of temptation. And look, it's not going to just try us. This is coming upon the entire world because you have people
Exactly.
who don't even believe in the text, but they don't even want to go along with this narrative, right? So that's why scriptures say what? That the hour of temptation should come upon all the world to try those that are on the earth, right? So we're coming into that time right now. I saw something over in I believe it was New York, where they said, hey, look, you can't go into, certain places without going along with this thing. Say, hey, it just shows you, man. Hey, look, slowly but surely, as the days go by, man, things are gonna continue to escalate. That's all I'm gonna say. Let me just hit the comments.
Can I read a verse really
Um,
quick, ETT, while you do that? This is a good one.
yeah, go ahead.
Sirach 36:1. Have mercy upon us, O Lord God of all, and behold us, and send thy fear upon all the nations that seek not after thee. Lift up thy hand against the strange nations, and let them see thy power.
Hey, let me just read this real quick. Sacramento said, I'd get on with you guys, but I'm in no way to talk to people right now. I'm going through a breakup. Hey, man, I'm sorry for your misfortune, man. But hey, I feel how you are, man. I know how that feels, man. So hey, just stay strong, man. Hey, we all have to go through, these situations in life, man. I've been through it before. say, hey man, I'll definitely keep you in our prayers, man. So hey, I wish you the best of luck, Sacramento with that, right? But hey, may the Lord, hey, we'll keep you in our prayers, brother. I'll throw it back to mine of God.
Yeah, there's another form of breakup and divorce that God wants. Revelation 18:4. Then I heard another voice from heaven saying, "Come out of her, my people, lest you take part in her sins, lest you share in her plague." So God ultimately wants us to be divorced, just to use the analogy to what STM's going
Right.
through. Divorce this world, and we all need to do that in whatever way we can, even though we're in this fool system. Back to you.
Right, right, absolutely. Hey, the scriptures speak about what? After you how was shy, you got to put off the world, right? And that's hey, look, it might be good, to be single in the times that we're coming into because hey, look,
Oh
some
yeah,
brothers are
big
going to
time.
be tried with with their wife and children might want to get that thing, but you don't want it, so they might actually leave the house and kick you out or something.
Yeah,
That families are going to be messed up because of this whole narrative going on, man.
I
So
bet
hey,
you
look,
that's already
it might
happening.
actually be
Yeah,
right, right. It's definitely happening.
yeah,
Say for an example, man, it might actually be a blessing to be, single in these times that we're in right now, man. Because those who are in good relationships, with their family or, girlfriend or whatever, it's going to be more difficult for them to get through the times that we're coming into. Because if one person wants to get this thing, but the other person doesn't, that's going to cause division in the household. Right. So that just shows us, man, hey, look, this truly is it, man.
yeah. It's it.
We're going to say it again. This truly has to be it, right? Christ is going to have to make his grand appearance very soon, okay? Because this is too much that's going on right now, man.
Yeah,
Hey, look, this has to be the end of the end that we're in right now, man. Because this place, Babylon the Great, America, this place is done, right? This
yeah.
place, it's finished. Put a cherry on top of it and stick a fork in it. It's done. That's
And
all
I
I'm going
want
to
people
say.
to
I'll throw it
know
back.
this part, ETT and I agree on that. Right up until it's destroyed with nuclear fire, people are still buying and selling. So just know
Right.
that, it's still got a bit of, legs, and they're going to keep, like the Bible says, their inward thought is that their houses will endure forever. That's how arrogant the leadership on the world is. So they don't think 50 years from now, they think it's going to exist forever. Like, so, don't be fooled. I think we all know, people that come by here, what's going on, but don't listen to the leadership. The leadership are stupid. Okay, they're just a bunch of retards. So
Right, absolutely, man. And that's what it is. Because if you suggest to somebody, hey, do you know that the Bible says America is going to be destroyed? They'll look at you like you got 10 heads because that's a hard thing to believe. What do you mean America is going to be destroyed? Nobody can take America down. Why? Because
yeah,
America is the most powerful empire that's ever existed. Right. So that's a hard thing to believe. But you know what? We believe that though. Why? Because the text says that. Right. So going back to what Mind of God brought out about what coming out of her and this is shows that Sakari are weak, right? They're out there teaching that Western philosophy,
yeah,
right?
big
Saying that
time.
you ain't a man tier 20. You guys got that from America. You guys got that from America. That's not in the scriptures.
They're probably in the
So
club
these
right now on a freaking
yeah,
weekday.
right.
It's sad,
Like
man.
the whole Passover thing. I mean, what
Yeah,
the hell were you guys
exactly.
doing having, half naked woman over there, at the damn Passover? What the hell are you guys doing, man? It
Yeah,
just shows you those guys are clearly off in the time that we're in.
dude. There's a good question in the chat aimed to you, man.
Let's see, which camp do you fall into, ETT? And I'll say this: I if I had to pick a camp that I would to the most associate myself with, that would of course have to be the Apostles of Great Millstone. Even though I am not a member of Great Millstone, I will say that I do give my respect to the Apostles of Great Millstone. So the camp that I am closest to would be Great Millstone. All right. However, I do teach that there are elect among all the camps that are out there. All right. Just to put that out there to answer that question. I'll throw it back to Mind of God.
Yeah, that's a good one. I don't remember what we were talking about before that, but yeah, man. Yeah, sorry, Sakari and all them. So yeah, man, this is it. Without a doubt, this is it. So it's kind of now or never. So one thing I wanted to mention quickly, dude, Awaken Pennsylvania left a comment on my channel quoting Apocrypha, man, and I was proud. So you got people, I'm sure he was reading it anyway, but it's cool when you see people read these other books and then quote it. I was just proud, when you did that. So it's amazing, man. If you read Second Ezra, First Ezra, read all those books, man. You know why it's fun reading those books? Because it's literally happening right before our eyes. So shout out Awaken Pennsylvania, man.
Yeah, yeah, and that goes into mind of God. Can you pull up what is that? Second Ezra chapter 15, verse 1 and 2, right? These words are faithful and true. And that's why when you go to what is it, Habakkuk chapter 2 and verse 2, it says what? Write the vision, make it plain upon tables, that he might run who reads it. Right. Because these prophecies, we're seeing these prophecies come to pass right now.
Yeah.
Right. So I'll throw it back to Monica.
Yeah, I'll read this one. This is good. Second Ezra chapter 15, 1 and 2. Behold, speak thou in the ears of my people the words of prophecy, which I will put in thy mouth, saith the Lord, and cause them to be written in paper, for they are faithful and true. And so this also is related to that verse, that the famous one in Revelation 19:10, where the testimony of Jesus is the spirit of prophecy. It's basically a language that only certain people understand. Like it says here, in the ears of my people, not the words of gibberish or nonsense or whatever the hell the 501c3 are pushing, prophecy. And then if you couple that with Revelation 19:10, I don't need to read it, but it says here the testimony of Jesus is the spirit of prophecy. So only a few people will get it. We're the lucky ones because it's obvious to us. So there's something unique about us. It's amazing.
Hey, as I said, man, hey, look, all I can say is, hey, we got to consider ourselves to be special, man. We got to consider ourselves lucky, right? In other words, it looks like the tide tips in our favor because, hey, it could have been somebody else that the Lord chose to wake up to this truth, but it was us, right? So, hey, we have something to be thankful for, man, because you see all these zombies walking around out here, man, or these sheeple, right? They don't know what the hell's going on. These cats think they're walking around, all upside down. You know what I'm saying? So it just
Yeah, exactly.
unbelievable
That's
what's going on.
ridiculous at this point. But yeah, I mean, I believe that for a majority of my life, or I never really thought about it. I think if I thought about it for a few minutes, I would know that it was stupid. But that the flat Earth is you would have to believe that truth came out prior to Christ's second coming, because that and many other truths, you can't really live with those, because that you'll just be like, even the America being destroyed, people will look at you and they'll get angry. It'll be like, what are you
Hey,
talking about?
mind of God, we have two questions coming in for
Yeah.
you. The first one is Sacramento asked, "What's your thoughts on the other books of Enoch? I only subscribe to the original book."
Well, dude, I'm about to read the one that's in this book, which I've noticed some of these in this book are different than Bible Gateway. So I didn't even realize there's different versions. So it gets confusing. But after I read this one, I'll let you know. And then I'll try and compare it to the other ones, I guess, once I'm done this
All
one.
right, we have another question coming in from our friend Fresh and New. He said, "Next year is 2022. Does three twos together mean anything in numerology?" Numerology?
Well, they add to 6, that's for sure. So I don't know. To me, I sometimes guess, what day it will be, and I suspect the date will be related to 144. But I mean, that's just a speculation. But I would say if you pick a day this year and next year, somebody's going to be right. It's not beyond that, in my opinion. You don't have to go with my this year for people who know my channel, but this year and next year, it's pretty much got to be Christ's second coming. So take your pick.
Right. Let me just
Somebody's
make
going
a
to be right.
statement real quick. For everyone who's watching in the chat right now, here's your last chance to put up questions for us. We're going to go for another 15 minutes, and then I'm going to close the show out at about 2 hours here. So if you have any last minute questions, go ahead and throw those in, and we will address them. But I also want to address that live streams on my channel might be a little rare for the next for the next 2 weeks, because when I use the StreamYard, I'm only allowed to use 20 hours a month unless I pay for the unlimited, but I'm not in a position where I can do that at the moment. So, I only have like 7 hours, or probably now about 5 hours left.
Jeez.
For till the what is it? I believe it's a 24th it resets, and then I'll have another 20 hours. So I gotta, if I go live, it's only going to be for an hour, because I gotta spread that out without, probably for the next couple of weeks here, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I gotta, be careful with that. But yeah, we might be able to go live on Mine of God's channel, man. Do you have the channel up yet, or?
Yeah, I do. I just I normally don't go just because I don't think people want to talk about anything. But if you message me and I can go live on mine. It does, yeah. So
Yeah,
it's
that
back.
sounds
Yeah,
cool.
it's back as of today. As you notice, I posted like 20 videos because I was holding them. But yeah, I'm
Right.
clear today. So yep.
Okay, that's good. Let's see. Sacramento responded and said, "No, I mean there's other continuations to Enoch, second book of Enoch, aka Slavic book of Enoch and third book of Enoch." To be honest with you, man,
Jeez.
I have not done much research on the book of Enoch. I do know that there is a mention in the scriptures of a man named Enoch. Okay, so I do need to look into the book. I've heard rumors that it's not the original text, which again, whether it is or not, I can't decide because I myself have not done much research into the text as of this moment in time. But yeah, I have heard, I believe Loving Christian, which I'm trying to bring him on the show. He calls himself the King Lion now. But I'm trying to do a show with him, but it's hard to get the time right because he lives in, I believe, England or something like that. So
Hmm.
it's hard to get the time right. But yeah, he believes in Enoch, from my understanding. Last time I talked to him. So Sacramento, you might want to talk to him about that because he knows more about it than I do. Um. Anyway, I'll throw it back to Mind of God.
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, when I find the sequence in the book, then I assume that it's from God. So that's why I'm doing this. Um, I think this is amazing. I really wish I purchased this book a long time ago, the complete Apocrypha. But I still got a long way to go, man. Like it's actually kind of dense reading. It sounds really bad, but it's almost more fun to watch what's going on in the world because it's like the Bible in real life. But again, obviously get into the Bible, everybody. It's I mean, it's you can literally read it and then point to what's going on. That's what's amazing about the times. It's incredible.
Right, right. But oh, but I forgot though. I forgot. We're wasting our time because remember, all this stuff already happened. All this was fulfilled in 70 AD.
Who's that guy that said he wants to talk, man? Who believes that?
Um, yeah, I'm gonna have to send him a text message and see if he wants to come on because he said in early August he'll try to join us. So I'm gonna send him a message later tonight and ask him if he's available. And also, there's another main event coming up. I just got in contact with a guy on out there named let me see, what's that cat's name? Faithful Servants of Christ, right? He's a
Hmm.
Christian. You can look up his page, and he
Yeah,
agreed to meet for an hour or two to do a live show. So I got to set that up with him. But by the God, you're gonna want to stop by, man, because that guy,
that's dope.
he has a lot of stuff. He believes in the hell teaching. He says that, I believe he said that God and Jesus are the same. He also says that Babylon's the Vatican City. He says that, that there's going to be,
Gosh.
locust like creatures that are going to come out of hell, and attack people, Revelation 9. A lot of crazy stuff, man. So I want to bring him on the show, and he agreed, but we got to work out a schedule that fits both of our times for me and him. But yeah, that's an event to look forward to. But then we'll try to bring that preterist brother on the show because I actually want to have a discussion on that. I think
I mean,
that'll be
it would be
very
funny.
interesting.
It'd be funny for sure. Because yeah. I mean, it would be cool for sure. Definitely, both of those would be
Oh,
interesting.
Sacramento said, "Wait, you believe in preterism?" No, no, man. I was being sarcastic. I was being sarcastic because you have guys out there who believe that everything was fulfilled in 70 AD. So I was just being sarcastic. Oh, Sacramento, what are your faults on those who teach that everything has been fulfilled, right? And they say, which, mind of God, you got to watch that debate that Sakari did with William Bell, man. I've
Mhm.
watched that 7 times already. That debate,
It was
that
that
got to be
good,
one of my favorite. Yeah,
huh?
yeah, that video, that is such a good video, such a great discussion, man. Make sure when you're in your free time, look up Sakari debate William Bell, Pastor William
But
Bell.
dude, I got
You
a
got to
question
watch
for
it.
you. I got a question for you,
Go
man.
ahead.
This is not to sound arrogant, but now that you know a lot of things, we obviously still need to see them happen in real life, certain things. But is it almost hard for you to like find stuff that's interesting for you? Like, it's not to like
Yeah,
say
yeah.
that we're arrogant, but like, what the hell's left? And I say that like politely for you. What's left to learn from who?
I mean, hell, man, all I really do, just like you were saying, man, is watch certain things for entertainment. Because
Okay,
I'll
fair enough.
say, man,
Fair enough.
once in a while, I might actually learn something new. Like I said from the Sakari video when I was watching it, they brought up that one verse about the pork, right? And those who eat that will be consumed when the Lord returns. I didn't know about that. So I can use that and say, okay, well, this is how I'll cut guys who say that you can't eat that. And I learned that from watching their debate. So see it, you can learn, certain things from them when I do their discussions. Anyway, man, I'm going to be closing in probably
Yeah.
about 5 minutes here. Let me just hit the comment. Sacramento said, I don't believe in it. Why are we still here if all it has happened?
Yeah,
And that's a
exactly.
great point.
Exactly.
Let's see. But yeah, man, as I said, when you get your free time, man, make sure you go ahead and watch that, man, because that was a fantastic discussion.
Yeah, I'll check it out. I unsubbed. I only subbed for that day when you joined. And I mean, it was well worth my time. Don't get me wrong. I was literally laughing through that whole thing, dude. I wish I could have joined, man, and just, helped a little bit. Cause it's kind of unfair too, because they got 3-on-1. So they got 3 people trying to fill a slot to talk versus 1. So that
And you
already is not
see,
fair.
the unfair part is they asked me a few questions at once, and I wanted to address it, but every time I try to bring something up, they'll talk over you and put you on mute. You know what I'm saying? So it's difficult to engage with them, right? So we wanted to address the whole 20 years old thing because they brought up that verse, and I was going to go into it with them because they were saying, "Well, see if you're under 20, you're a little one." I was going to ask, "Well, wait, where does it say that? Where does it say that 19-year-olds are little one? It doesn't say that in the text. You're
Yeah.
superimposing that. It doesn't say that. It says you're little ones." Now, what was that talking about? It's talking about the little toddlers and shit. That's what it was talking about. It wasn't saying if you're under 20, you ain't a man. Because they asked them, well, wait, if you go to Numbers 8, it says you can't work in a priesthood till you're 25. So by logical deduction, that must imply, oh, well, that means you ain't a man till you're 25. And then he said, well, that's an office. That's an office. It's like, wait, so going to war isn't an office, though. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Dude, you
Ridiculous.
you you took it easy on it, man, but you could really have, got them. But we can, it's all good. I
As
mean,
I
you're
said, I wanna do a part 2, man. Hey, look, I'm gonna call into one of their shows soon, and I'm gonna give them a run for their money. But you see, it's hard for me though because there's really not much that I disagree with them on, other than those handful of topics that I discuss with them,
yeah, fair
such as
enough.
the kingdom being a physical kingdom, the age of consent thing, and pretty much that's it. I really can't think of much. Oh, and other than, let me see, they no, I was gonna say that they teach we're in the new covenant, but then I remember they don't teach that. Yeah, so as I said, man, I want to get on there and discuss with them, but there really isn't a whole lot that I really got beef with them about, other than with a handful of subjects that we pretty much discussed. The one thing I could get on there next time and talk to them about is the whole flat Earth thing. We could go more in depth because I
Yeah.
have some more aspects I want to ask them. But hey, man, you should try to call in next time.
Well, that's with me. It's like I don't really. I already know based on our interactions, even what we disagree on, and then now it's just a wait and see. So again, I enjoy these because you might say something that I haven't seen or I reminds me of something. So it's kind of like pruning, a little bit that we do these kind of things. But I don't think I'm going to learn something drastically new, even though I did find that debate with you and them like hilarious and like funny as hell. But I
Yeah.
mean, I learn a little bit here and there, but I guess for me, my mind is mostly in what's end times prophecy, and you guys didn't touch on that too much. But if you go into like the end times and stuff, the problem now, as you know, it's not their fault, is we're not allowed to talk about a lot of that. So then, well, what the hell are we talking about? Because of YouTube. So
Hey, that debate was very interesting because it was just pretty much 4 actors on there, acting with one another.
well, don't say that kind of
Anyway,
stuff, dude, because I'll be tempted to loop those. So, but yeah, we're
hey,
all
look.
yeah.
Anyway, for anyone watching, because I see we have a couple people, this is the last chance to get your questions answered by the 2 actors who are on the audience stage here. Inside joke.
Yeah, I mean, I think to me, man, this is an amazing time to learn. So I enjoyed it, ETT. I'll go live in the next few days, and then if you're around, you can pop on for sure. I don't really have too many topics because it's like a wait and see. But maybe
Hey, well,
Pennsylvania wants to
maybe
drop
we
by.
can discuss maybe we can discuss the new covenant or sign because that's a good topic that a lot of people believe that we're in the new covenant. So you might get somebody on who might challenge us on that teaching.
Yeah, another one I wanted to do that I can make this a topic. I wanted to actually discuss what if the Bible's not true, and do a full stream
That'd
on
be
that.
a great show, man. That'll be a great show.
Okay, so I'll put that as my topic for this weekend, and then you can jump on whenever you want. So,
Yeah, that
because
sounds cool, man.
yeah, enjoyed it, man. Appreciate the time. It was fun.
Okay. Well,
Peace.
yeah, man. Peace. Have a good night.
Take care.
All right. Um. Anyway, in a conclusion to the show tonight, again, I want to end off by saying that this was not at all, hate against any of our brothers in Great Millstone, right? ETT has very much respect to the apostles of Great Millstone. And of course, I sincerely want all the brothers in Great Millstone to receive salvation. And I will always say that. And I will always, give those brothers much respect, right? So this is not at all about any type of hate nor any type of disrespect against any of those brothers, right? All those brothers excuse me, uh, um, much respect, okay? Right, so ETT will give double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone, right? Much sincere love to all those brothers, man. So I don't want to get that twisted. I'm not at all coming on here with any type of hate or beef, for lack of better words. It's just, they made a statement I don't agree with, so I wanted to tackle it in the scriptures. We could reason together. I tried to ask them, and they didn't want to have a discussion with me. So it's okay, cool. Well, I'll do a video about it. Okay, so anybody who disagrees, you are welcome to do a video response, and we can address the information presented. Okay, if you do a response, make sure you play the video so people can hear what I'm saying. Okay, don't make things up. Okay, so anyway, in conclusion, of course, much respect to our brothers in Great Millstone, right? May all those brothers receive salvation. And also, if anybody made it this far into the video, after the stream, I want you to put hashtag Enoch in the comment section. That's hashtag Enoch, right? As in the book of Enoch. All right. Hashtag Enoch in the comment section down below if you made it all the way through the stream. And yeah, I also want to say for the next week or two, yeah, for probably the next 2 weeks is going to be slow on the channel because I only have 5 hours left of live streaming time on the service I use unless I pay $15 for more time, but I can't do that financially right now. So I have to, maneuver with only 5 hours of showtime. Okay. Well, I will use all that time, of course, but I have to go a little slow. Okay. So I apologize about that. But I don't get new time until around, I believe, the 24th. Okay. So anyway, I'm going to end off by giving all praise to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai for this truth. Thank everyone for watching. And hey, share this video to Great Millstone, right? I want to get those brothers to see this video and we can discuss this. Anyway, I'm going to give all praise to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, and I'm going to say shalom.